In the last video, we have implemented the security or the authentication mechanism with the help of in-memory authentication method. Okay. Now we are going to implement the another way of implementation of the security, which is known as the JDBC authentication. So the first question would be that why do we have this JDBC authentication or some other way of authentication? The reason being that here, if you are planning to use this kind of authentication strategy, then you have to write the information of each and every user, as well as that you cannot provide the support that if the user would be added dynamically to the system. That kind of support cannot be provided with the help of this kind of authentication mechanism. Okay, so to overcome the limitation of the in-memory authentication, we will be using another authentication mechanism which is called the JDBC authentication. Okay, so let's see that how to implement the JDBC authentication. So guys, the first thing is I'm putting this code into the comment, and then I'm going to introduce the JDBC authentication over here. So here I'll be writing auth.jdbc authentication. So here I'm telling to the Spring Boot that, hey Spring Boot, I want to use the JDBC authentication. Okay, so obviously that the Spring Boot will ask that you tell me that where is your database and the database related configuration. Okay, so that you can tell with the help of the method called data source, and here as a part of data source you have to provide the argument of the data source, so that Spring Boot will get the database related, connection related, or the user credential related information, the database credential, I'm talking not a normal credentials, okay, from this particular data source argument. Okay, so now the question would be that how to create this particular argument, okay, or how to provide the values to this argument. So for that, what I'll be doing that I'm going to auto wire data source over here. Okay, having a type data source. Okay, and that data source will go over here. Okay, now once this is done, Spring Boot, whenever you will run the Spring Boot application, at that time it will look for the database related properties. As we know that the database related properties should be over here. So guys, here you can see that we already have the database related property that is related to MySQL. Okay, so here I have option that either I can select the MySQL database or any other database. That depends on the application requirement. So guys, here I'm going to introduce something which is not known to you up to this video, that the Spring Boot having its own database which is known as the S2 database, which is known as S2 database. Okay, S2 database. This database is also known as the embedded database. Okay, because it is already embedded to the Spring Boot application. By default, it is available. So, for the demonstration of this JDBC authentication, I'm not going to use this MySQL. Obviously, I can use it, but I don't want to use it. And what I'll be doing that I'm going to introduce the new database which is known as the S2 database. Okay, this S2 database can be in memory also, right? It can be in memory also, right? So we are going to have the S2 database that would be in memory, or also you can have a storage for backend storage of the S2 database. Okay, so obviously here I have to write the properties related to the S2 database. Okay, so whichever properties that we had specified for the MySQL, those properties we are going to uh, write for the S2 database. Okay, so let me paste the S2 database related properties. Okay, so here you can see that I have pasted the S2 related properties. Okay, right, and Here it contains the data source.url, that would be the path, the exactly same property we were having with the MySQL. Then the driver class name, it is showing me the error. Okay, we are going to solve this error in a while. Then data source.username, SA, data source.password, nothing. Okay, and the dialect. Okay, so here we have error. What does it mean? That we have not dependency related to S2 database. Okay, so if you will see the pom.xml, we have the properties related to that MySQL server, but we don't have a property related to S2 database. So guys, let's go to the spring.io and let's try to download that S2 related properties. Okay, so either I can go to the Spring Boot or I can go to the Maven website also. So let me go to the Maven, that is Maven S2 dependency. Okay, right. So here you can see, you can open this mavenrepository.com and you can go to the latest version and you can copy this. Okay, let me copy this and let me paste below the MySQL. Okay, I'm just commenting out this MySQL because I don't want to use it right now. Okay, and here I'm going to remove this version as well as scope, that is equal to test, because that I am not going to test it, but I am going to run it. Okay, so I have added the dependency related to the S2 database. Okay, so com.s2 database and artifact ID, that is S2, and let me click on the Maven plugin. So it will download the dependency. Okay, so here you can see that it is importing the dependency. Okay, perfect. The dependency is downloaded. Now there should not be that error in the application.property. Here you can see that the error is not there. Okay, and I'm moving to the security configuration. Okay, and then I'll be providing the user detail. Okay, so here what we have done, that we have a backend database where we are going to have the user related information like username, password, then roles, etc. Okay, so what we can do, how I can add user to the backend. Obviously that by default the Spring Boot is not going to create a user for you now. Okay, you have to create a user and you have to add the user to the backend table. Okay, so for that you have to write a code after this over here. Okay, I'm going to show you that how you can write a code. We will write the first thing, that is with default schema. That means we are requesting to the S2 database that please create user for me, followed by that with user. Okay, and here I'll be providing the username like this, that the user dot with username. Okay, here let's say the username is admin. Okay, then I'll be providing a password, that is password is equal to admin. Okay, and also I can provide the roles as we have seen in the in-memory authentication, right? Okay, so I have created one user over here and this user would be stored in the backend database. Okay, if I want to add one more, then what I will do, I will again type that with user. Okay, we'll do the same thing, that is user dot with username, the username, let's say user. Okay, and the password, let's say the user itself, and the roles would be user. Okay, that's it. Okay, so here what we have done, we have informed to the backend database that create the user like this, so that the users or client would able to log in to the system with the help of this particular credential. Okay, so here we are having some errors. Okay, it is saying that cannot uh, typo over here. Yeah, this should be the data source. Okay, and though there is an error, okay, let me run the application and let me check. Hopefully the application would run. Perfect, the application is started. Okay, and now let me check whether I'm able to log into the system or not. Okay, so here you can see that right now the system is asking me for the username and password, so I'm providing a username admin and password admin, and it is opening the page. Okay, now what I'll be doing, that I want to check that how it looks like in the backend database. Okay, so that means I want to enable the S2 database. So to enable the S2 database, I have to add, or yeah, I have to add two properties in the application.property. So let me go back to the application.properties. Okay, and here I'm going to add two more properties related to the S2 database. So these are the two properties which I have pasted. Okay, that is the S2 console enable is equal to true, and S2 console path, that is equal to slash S2. What does it mean? That here I'm telling to the Spring Boot that enable the console of the S2, as well as that this would be the path that user will use to access the S2 database. Okay. Now not only that, I have to go to the Spring security configuration, and there also I have to add some method. Okay, then this console would be accessible, otherwise not. But before that, let me rerun this application and let me see that whether I'm able to open the console or not. Okay, so I've restarted the application, and we'll go to the console. Okay, so that I can access the S2 database with the help of same URL, that is localhost colon 8080 followed by S2. Okay, and hitting enter. Yeah, it has opened the S2 login page, where I have to provide the JDBC URL. Okay, that is the exactly which we have specified in the application dot properties, like this, that jdbc colon s2 colon memory colon testdb. Here the testdb is the name of our database, so let's go to that. Okay, and essay, and let me click on the test connection. Okay, it is showing me some error, right? Why it is showing me error? Because I haven't specified that this s2 should be is going to be accessible. Okay, so that is what I have to specify. So for that, I'm moving to the application and going to the security config, where I'm going to implement new method. Okay, I'm going to generate a new method. So for that, I'm doing right click over there, clicking on generate, and going to override a method called authenticate, sorry, configuration http security. Okay, and inside this method I'm going to write something so that the h2 console would be accessible. So what I'm going to write, I'm going to first disable the cross site request forgery. Okay, dot disable. Okay, and another thing that I will be doing, this http dot, I'm going to uh, enable the iframe visibility to the system. Okay, so for that I have to write that http, and just a minute, the method would be, I might have missed out the method, that authorize filter anonymous course exception headers. Okay, dot, there would be a iframe related method. Okay, let me check, frame options. Yeah, here it is, that frame options dot disable. Okay, so this will allow the iframe to get open in the application. Okay, let's rerun the application. Let me check what is the status. That application is started. Okay, and let's try to go to the S2 console. So where the S2 console is, let me refresh this. Okay, and let me click on test connection. Yeah, test successful, and let me connect. Okay, here you can see that the console is open, where I can see the user table. Just by clicking over here users, it will display this query, that is select star from user, and let me click on run. Here you can see these are the users which we have added. Okay, though we haven't specified this enable, by default its value is true. Okay, and also there is a table called authorities. Okay, so let me delete this and select this authority and let me run it. Here you can see that two different roles we have added to the user, like role admin and role user. So I hope this is clear to you. That's it for this video.